Thank you guys for watching the Animal One Guy YouTube videos. If you like this video, please leave a like and even comment below. And if you like all my content, please hit the subscribe button. And why not click the bell icon for notifications too? That way you can see all my videos. Give me the ball. Hey, reptile rescue family. What are we doing in today's video? We're talking gout. If we're talking gout, why do we have a bearded dragon on a tortoise? Because the bearded dragon likes to ride the tortoises. The tortoise rides all around. But no, we're going to talk gout. We're going to discuss gout. But when I discuss gout in lizards, oh, come on, watch out. When I discuss gout in lizards, they actually, the thing that does gout to lizards also affects tortoises. That's right. So why don't we break right down into this video when we got these two cool cats here? So let's. Oh no! Can you not eat? Can you not eat? Can you not eat? Can you not suicide off the table? That'd be great. Okay, thanks. And guys, we will circle around with some different reptiles. Hope you liked the opening, but we're going to start with Mr. Freeze here. He just woke up from his nap, so he's all tired. He doesn't know why I'm filming him, but I thought he'd be the perfect guy to talk about gout, because yes, the same gout that affects humans can actually sometimes be really just a real common thing to happen in the reptile industry, unfortunately, most of the time to pets. And we're going to discuss why that can happen. Sometimes it's the caretaker's fault, and sometimes it's completely unavoidable. So we'll go into it all. But just so everyone knows, what is gout? So gout, obviously, guys, it has to do with excess uric acid inside your body, either ours or the lizard's body. So a lizard's kidney will break down all of their waste product. And one of their waste products from eating, particularly from eating proteins, and this is important, is uric acid. And that uric acid gets filtered out of their blood with their kidneys and then peed right out, right? And then you get a solid block of urate, right? And what is in a lot of that urate? That's like uric acid, okay? Good, very good. Now, sometimes you'll end up getting gout, which is the kidneys are not able to filter the uric acid from the blood very well, or there's just way too much. So even though your kidneys are filtering them, there's just so much and it's just building up. And guys, I promise you, this isn't a statue. This is a real bearded dragon. This is Mr. Freeze. He's just chill. He's just tired. So why does this happen? Why do we get how do we get gout inside of our lizard then? You know, let's say my lizard has perfectly good kidneys, because one of the easiest ways is your lizard has a kidney problem, and the diet and the husbandry is all set up correctly, but you still get gout. Why is that? So we eliminate the problem of the reptile's kidneys from the situation. Then what's our problem? Most of the time, it comes down to diet. And, oh, hi, Phoenix. She's very hungry. She eats in about an hour, but guys, let me tell you, every day she eats a ton of food, and she's a pig. But this is why she's a good example. So, again, most of that uric acid is coming from a protein. So we have a couple forms of protein when you're feeding your lizard, right? So there's vegetable eaters, there's meat eaters, there's insect eaters. We'll say those are your three big categories, right? What is the problem then? So you have vegetable proteins, you have proteins from your insects, you have proteins from your meats, whether they're rodents or whether you're feeding pieces of chicken, pieces of beef, etc. Either way, you are going to have a main source of correct protein for your lizard. And sometimes that changes, and here's where the problem can come in. So if you're feeding mostly vegetable eater meat proteins or bug proteins, their kidneys are going to have a hard time filtering that. And then there's a high chance they could get gout. Look at her just looking at the camera. Yeah, hi. What do you want? How are you doing? So, because I want to talk about bearded dragons because they are a really good source for this. So a bearded dragon diet starts off as 90% bugs to 10% vegetables, transitioning to the time by they're 2 years old to be the reverse. 90% vegetables with 10% bugs. And the occasional meat protein can be given, especially recommended to females who have just laid eggs. Bearded dragons typically get gout because they are overfed vegetables when they're young, or they're and I mean super overfed, and I'll get why it has to be super overfed, or super overfed bugs when they are older. So you normally don't see gout in baby reptiles, and I'm using the word normally, because their body is still growing, so they're able to burn through that protein, right, Phoenix? And they're able to use it to help them grow. So although you can give wrong proteins at certain ages, typically if your reptile is still growing, you're not going to see gout develop. But once your lizard has reached a certain age, it's no longer growing. And then you're going to have the problem. Right, Archimedes? Right. See how she's thinking? She's like, what the heck am I doing here? Why did you bring me here to talk about gout? I don't have any gout. So again, bearded dragons are great because they can eat from all three of the protein sources. But if you think about it, guys, in the wild, most of your lizards will eat whatever food they can find. They definitely have a primary, but they'll eat whatever they can find. And that's why in moderation, you can pretty much do everything. But your bearded dragon's an adult now. You're feeding it a ton of bugs. You're feeding it a ton of meat. What's going to happen? Besides probably becoming obese, there's an extremely high chance it will develop gout. Its kidneys will not be able to filter all of that uric acid out of its blood. So then what happens? Great question. Just like in humans, crystals, little white gout crystals form. Typically in the extremities first, and they pool up in the joints. So we're going to zoom in on her hand here. So, and almost always it's going to start in the outer joints, not in the middle. So what would we see? What would be some signs that my bearded dragon or any type of lizard is maybe starting to get gout? Because they could have pre-gout. It is treatable, especially if you catch it soon enough, it's curable. If you catch it and it's already there, it's really not curable 100%, but you can make it a lot better. And I'll get into all of those steps after we go over what we'll see. So normally the first thing that we'll see, starting at the hand, sometimes the fingers, sometimes the forearm, we will see swelling. That is, those crystals are building up in there and they're pooling and more are coming, and they will start to swell because all those crystals are under the skin. What you'll also see is limited movement because it's in the joints. So, and this is also why sometimes gout is confused with MBD. Especially when rescuing, guys, it's really important to know the difference. Although thankfully you can test for both and you can get 100% confirmation on both. And I'll go into that too later. But so we would see non-movable joint or painful movable joint. We would see swollen arms, swollen fingers. Let me get my hand underneath here. Come here, Archimedes. Let me see your hand. We would see with the fingers, come here. I need to use you as an example. The fingers wouldn't be able to bend. See how they can bend at multiple joints here and here, and they're bending just fine. Again, if those joints were filled with gout crystals, they wouldn't be moving. Also, gout is normally extremely painful to the touch, and especially trying to bend that joint. So those are some good ways that you can tell, do you have gout? Now, if you want the 100%, you run a blood test. And in the blood test, you'll get a uric acid level, and you can see if there's too much uric acid. Guys, I highly recommend you blood test your reptiles at milestone birthdays. Every 5 years, every 3 years is fine too, because you'll get a big readout of all of its vitamin levels, and you'll be able to know, do I need to adjust supplements? Do I need to focus here? Is uric acid too high, etc. So you should keep that in mind as well. Okay, so we've learned how to identify gout, all the main things outside of going to the vet and getting a blood test, the big things you can pick up, always almost visual. So then, what do we do? Very good question. I'm glad you asked. And look, I have a smart lizard on display that's not a bearded dragon. Now we're talking, right? She's a Chinese water dragon. She's beautiful. She's going to start filling up with eggs soon again, which will be her third time laying. She's also getting ready to shed. That's why she's darker, not her vibrant green. So let's go into then, how do we kind of treat gout without medication, especially if it's pre-gout, if we start to think that this is happening? Well, again, guys, it's diet. You have to focus on the right diet. If they're supposed to be a vegetable eater, like a bearded dragon, get them over to vegetables really quick, right? So correct your protein source. That's number one. Number two, gout. So again, but what if you're feeding the right protein sources and it's still happening? Okay, a lot of times this is because you do not have enough hydration in your reptile. So the kidneys, they need water, they need moisture. So if you have a dehydrated reptile, even if they don't look like it, that's a great way that gout can happen. And now again, this is why in bearded dragons, since not everyone keeps a water dish with their bearded dragon, not everyone gives their bearded dragons baths in which they can drink safe water. If you're feeding your bearded dragon the wrong type of protein, it's not going to get the hydration that it would from the vegetables, let's say, especially if you don't have a water bowl in there, high chance for gout. Sometimes people can't put water dishes in there because of humidity levels where you live. So again, wrong diet with husbandry problems, no water dish, boom, high chance for gout for bearded dragons. So you correct the diet. On top of that, if you were to take them someplace, almost always hydrotherapy is the solution. They can put them on an IV if they're possible, or they'll syringe feed them high amounts of water or Pedialyte and things like that to get them hydrated, super hydrated, to help rejuvenize those kidneys and get them going. That's really important. Also, surgery can be done, again, just like in humans, where they will go into the joints and they will remove the white gout crystals. If you have those crystals in the joints, you have to remove them. They'll remove as many as possible, and then you can treat for more crystals forming, but a lot of these treatments will not break down those crystals that have already formed. There also is gout medication that is kind of hit or miss accepted in the reptile community. Some say it's good, some say it's not good. It's all over the place. I've never had to use it, so I don't have any first-hand knowledge, because I also do preventative maintenance for gout. What is that preventative maintenance? Here we go. So again, the tortoise is out, and if we're at the last kind of chapter for preventing gout in lizards and stuff, why do I have the tortoise out? Well, same thing. Tortoises, and extremely rare circumstances, turtles can get gout. It's extremely rare for turtles, but it can happen. So, what are these preventative maintenances other than, because I count proper care as proper hydration, proper food, etc. I don't count any of that as preventative maintenance. That's all proper. Well, like a lot of us, we like to serve occasionally fruits to our reptiles. A lot of times they love them. Fruits can be really good. They can be high in vitamin C, vitamin D. They can have E. They can have a ton of stuff. Hydration, things like that. Dun dun dun. What are these? Tart cherries. That's right. Tart cherries are known to be really good to prevent gout. Cherries in general are good, guys, but specifically you want tart cherries, unsweetened. So you just want, these are frozen, you can't always find them in stock, but if you can find whole, unsweetened, tart cherries, pick them up, throw them in your freezer, guys. That is going to be one of the best fruit treats you can give to any reptile that can eat fruits. So Tortellini is going to hopefully eat a cherry for us. She's smelling it out. You have to thaw them. The best way to thaw them, guys, is actually room temperature, just on a plate, and let them thaw. Yeah, there she goes. Because if you thaw them in water, sometimes you can get the juice to, you know, come out, and then you're losing vitamins and stuff. So if you feed the tart cherries, and you can use them as a once-a-month treat, if you have a reptile that can eat fruits more often, let's say like a tortoise, I throw a cherry on, a couple cherries a week in total on her salads. She's going to get a couple treats now because she's on the video for you guys, so you can look at Tortellini eat with her crazy eyeballs. Look at them. She's like an animal, sitting there menacingly eating it. But yeah, tart cherries are one of the fruits I always recommend people give their reptiles that can eat fruits, especially as a treat, because they are just good. They have calcium, they have some iron, they have a lot of potassium, they have vitamin A in them, which we know is really good for our reptiles in a way that they can digest vitamin A. And then again, they're a good prevention for gout. So especially one more for you, and then that's it. I don't want you to have diarrhea. So hopefully this has answered a lot of the questions on why gout happens, how to prevent gout, how to do basic treatment for beginning gout, and then what you would need. Look at this puddle you've done. And then what you would need to do to advance gout. Now, the reason I'm ending on Tortellini is she's going to like just start trying to lap up that juice. Look at her. She doesn't know she's so small. Doesn't get a clue. You're not about to run through that, though, after you just had a bath today. We're going to, that's for sure. But what can happen to tortoises if they eat wrong animal protein as well? So protein, guys, is what helps grow the tortoise's shell. A tortoise shell goes from the center of these areas, and you can see the grow lines kind of like a tree. In fact, let me bring you up nice and close, Tortellini. See how these scoots are kind of growing out? And you see the lines as it was growing, and this is the part. So if younger tortoises, and again, in the wild, they'll eat anything they can get. And a lot of it is actually animal poop. Not just theirs, but also sometimes other tortoises, but poop of anything. Any food they find in the wild, they will eat. As pets, if we were to feed them too much animal protein, which happens a lot, or too many bugs, a lot of times, again, tortoises are known to get what, guys? Pyramiding on their shells, because they will get too much protein, and they're too much non-vegetable protein, let me make that clear, and their scoots will grow too fast, and it will deform their shell, and you'll see high pyramiding. Some people used to say the pyramiding was all due to UV. It's not. I've seen tons of tortoises that are, it plays a small factor, absolutely, but I've seen tons of tortoises that are kept in outdoor enclosures, but again, that are fed the wrong meals and get super pyramided shells. It's improper diet. Okay, here's been the gout video. I'm going to film a separate video, guys, about all my little guys eating cherries because it's their gout prevention week. So, hope you enjoyed. Tortellini, you can't go through that because then they're going to say they caught you red-handed like you killed someone. Take care, everyone. Thanks for watching. Thank you guys for supporting my reptile rescue family.